Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. And it's Friday. I didn't think I'd be doing another Friday reveal day. But you never know. Things happen and you run with it and you go for it. So today is a Friday digital reveal. Somewhat bonus because these are small things and they are in addition to what we did Tuesday, but they're still a reveal. So why not? Digital reveal Friday. We saw on Tuesday the Sochabe vintage journal kit, 22 pages, papers, collages, journal papers, ephemera, fussy cuts, all of that. And I will definitely go ahead and put the card here in the video so you can go back and look at it and take a peek and all the fun goodies that are going with it, that go in this journal kit. Okay, so there's that. So that was Tuesday. And I would have shown you everything on Tuesday, but I didn't quite have everything done. And I wasn't sure with how my weeks have been going lately, how I was going to get what done. But I did it. I got it going. I had more papers. I had more ephemera. And I finally got it all put together, got it printed out so I could show you guys. They are up in my Etsy shop. We have 2 new editions. So I have all 3 to go together for sewing-based sewing journals, vintage sewing, shabby sewing, hopefully to cover a number of bases for you guys, but it is most of it is a shabby sewing vintage elements. So to go along with the ephemera and the fussy cuts you already have, I created by request for those who are truly sewing fanatics and those who really want a little bit more of a maybe traditional sewing journal. I was requested to get a little bit more usable cards besides the standard journal cards. So I created you 6 pages of button cards, hooks and eye cards, spools in a sense for thread, for lace, for fabric that you could actually cut out off your hardest cardstock paper and use to actually wrap a little lace around it or wrap a little gauze or wrap some thread around it and use them to insert into your books, right? Or attach them with bowl pens and get a little more interactive with your journals and use these cards. So this is the Sochabe Vintage Sample Card Set, and it's 6 pages of all these yummy ephemera pieces for you to physically use however you see fit. So I took some vintage images, so you really could just put your glue or pin your things right onto it. Fill them in with your own personal. I made my own variations. These are my standard 4-up cards, so they're nice and good size. Great insert into a large tuck or pocket. And you could leave them plain. You could physically put smaller or medium, I think these are almost standard buttons. It's like 0.65, a little over half an inch. These are definitely under half an inch. And you can, decorate these up with your own favorite vintage buttons. Or leave them plain, right? And then you can, of course, journal on the back of them any notes that you want. I printed all of my things on cardstock so that when I do decide to use them in any manner, they're a nice solid, something hardy that's going to hold up. I did do 2 pages of the instantly backed cards, journal cards, because we do want to write notes in our sewing journals. And so I put the dressmaker's notes on this side. This should be definitely your back. And then I use a variety of vintage imagery and postcards to sort of give you something to look at on one end and, of course, right on the back. I think only 2 are vertical and 2 are horizontal. The backs are all vertical, but I did make sure that, like, if you were looking at it and you flipped it over, the left side and the top were sort of on the same side. So, as usual, cut around the big square, fold them in half, glue them together, and you have a really solid card. Now, remember, if you got tight spots for these larger cards, put them on a nice print. I don't want to say presentation paper because sometimes that's thick, but a really nice high gloss white paper like I do, like I print the pages on. They're still pretty stout. Those, if you print these on that and fold them in half, it becomes the same type of weight as a standard cardstock. But if you want a really hardy, double-sided journal card, then keep to your cardstock. As we found out the hard way, right? Couple videos back, if you go back and look into my journal, botanical journal series, we had that issue with the mini file folders and other things. So again, so you have Postcards were sort of my theme in the back because I hadn't used much of them. This was a vintage piece that I had collected, and you know, I put my backing on it, and I put my roses on it that match the vintage Shabby kit. Backings, all those things sort of really do tie in to the full journal kit if you want to add to it. Took my cluster that I did and the lace, you know, just really started tweaking on things. Played with a pair of scissors. They're supposed to be a little more rose gold, but I had a problem with coloring. Not a problem. I just kept playing with the technique, so it definitely has its own little hinge of creativity there. And then these are the small 8-up spools in a way. They're spool cards. They are topper, like lace topper cards. And this is my own personal scallop that I create that you will see on my larger scalloped clutch envelopes. It's the same scallop you see in the top flap of my envelope, so I just made it work for this. That way it stayed to my design and I wasn't copying anything. It's probably very similar to what we saw back then. It is very similar to some of the older images that I use, actually. It feels very similar. Well, no, they only do 3. Like a lot of these, it's really hard to see, but they only have a three scallop type ordeal. Back in the day, 1 or 2 may have a little bit more. I don't even know if I have any of those images up, but I figured I would just be on the safe side and take my 5 scallop, round it out, and make my own little cards for you guys. And this is perfect to add us a little extra exterior fabric or material. You know, glue on your buttons, add on your pins and your hooks, add a little lace and fabric and decorate them up to feel very much like a sewing journal with all its proper material, correct? But it's all the backgrounds and the pieces that I used for the kit. And I did do two designs of the larger size to really wrap lace or fabric around these. Really get a nice swatch of something. Maybe you had a piece of fabric that really goes with this, but it's too big of a pattern to like make this tiny little strip, right? So you have these, which again can be covered in buttons, can be covered in hooks, fabric, lace, whatever you want if you really want to get a massive sewing feel to this journal. And then I did 6-up, a little wider than my normal 6-up, to give you a nice button cards. And I call them button cards. They are definitely to write on front or back. When you distress them and print them on any paper that you choose, you can add more buttons to them. You can really just journal to your heart's content however you see fit on these. So this is a little 6-page ordeal, plenty of squares and fun ordeals to play with and add to the journal kit if you felt you needed just a little bit more. If the 10 pages of ephemera wasn't enough, here's 6 more. And these are sold separately. It's still under the same Sochabe vintage, but these are sampler cards. Okay, and all the links, of course, to each one of these listings will be down below in the description of this video, so that there's no question or concern. Otherwise, you just go to the Etsy shop and you can type in sew, S-E-W, and anything that I have going with these guys, of course, will show up. Now, when I was doing the journal kit, though, the biggest thing, which I had a hard time stopping myself, was creating papers. I think I had more fun creating the pattern papers to go with that kit than I did anything else. I love clustering things. I love collaging things and making those decorative pages. But I had a fun just doing pattern papers and putting the backgrounds and having a blast with that. So I had to sort of like stop myself, finish the journal kit, and come back to this and give you a Sew Vintage paper pack, a digital paper pack, to help fill in with either my new Sochabe vintage kit or any sewing kit that you may have. Maybe you just need a few more pages. There wasn't a lot of backgrounds on things and you wanted a little more. And I'm hoping this will help round out the sewing projects that are going on these days. And if you hadn't jumped on the bandwagon yet and were debating, hopefully this will help encourage you to do so. So I started off with a collage of advertisements, pin cards, hook cards, advertisements during the time things, measurements. As you see, there's the bare all average card for a button company. So this was a lot of fun. These can be, of course, cut out individually if you want more ephemera, or leave it as a nice, just folded filler page in your journal. Now these are all printed fit to print, as we were talking about that the other day, to make sure I had a pretty consistent edge all the way around. So if I wanted to stress it or just trim it, I know that I am cutting pretty evenly all the way around. And so I went fit to print this time. Not by choice, accident. I did it by accident actually, but at least they're all the same. And it does help make sure that no image is cut off when you do it. I didn't back these yet because I'm not sure how I'll use them. So at one point I may take any one of these backings and just hit the whole kit caboodle with them. But there's page 1. Now some of these will look like a repeat if you were watching and you grab the Sochabe Vintage. Some of these pages are at a 50% or less, and they're a pale page in the journal kit to help you give you more journaling space, to help give you something lighter in the background to help layer up on. But I think the 100%, the full saturated pages are just as awesome. I have no problem with the dark stuff and adding, you know, the florals and the laces and the tucks on top of it to give it a nice contrast. So these are ladies blouse pins, and I had a blast clustering them in a way, and then, like I said, creating that pattern paper, and I put it on that. There was a set of directions to an old vintage pattern, and I just clustered those in the background also up and down. So hopefully everything is non-directional. You can flip these around however you need to and not worry about, oh my gosh, I have it upside down. Then I gave you guys some of the base backgrounds, base collage backgrounds that I use paper-wise to create my larger, I shouldn't say larger, but to create my decorative pages for the journal kit. There were some bases that I started with, and I felt they were great pieces to let you decorate up however you saw fit within your journal, or kept something a little bit more neutral if you needed something that just needed more journal space, right? This one, you know, you can with a good black pen write right over all of it, or have fun with it. I don't know. Make notes on it. Then we have busier, of course, patterns. This is 100%. I didn't really dull this one down. I thought it would be a really great page in between. These are all my clusters that I had designed in the kit, journal kit, and simplified them, took the colors out, and I'll show you in a minute what it would look like up close. I do give you both versions. You get the pattern version and you get just the cluster. This was fun, so I sort of regroup these lovely images that I had fun playing with. Then here's the 100% of the solid dress dummy mannequins, and I did fix this to where in the pattern paper pack, this is completely, I feel, non-directional, except for the writing. I know the writing's upside down in places. I know the writing is maybe flipped around, but it's just small little details, and I don't feel it's something that's going to hinder someone from not, you know, flipping it around. Because I did it to a number of them. It's not just one or the other. So I did fix that. Took out a little bit of the taupe, so it's a little bit more goldish yellow vintagey like the rest of the kit. Like I said, we fixed some of the directional issues, so it didn't seem so straight across pattern-like. Here's another one of those collage background pages, background bases that was in the journal kit. Again, another great place to journal on, you know, around some of the information and measurements, which I didn't realize this was ages and measurements for boys. It was in an antique, like, newsletter, and I didn't even look at it till later. I was like, oh, well, I have it covered and sort of designed, so no one's gonna know. But I guess you need measurements for boys too, right? You can't just all be for the girls. You have to have all the information. Then I took those hooks, advertisements, and threw those around and did some pattern. It reminds me a little bit of a weaved basket, which is sort of interesting. But I had fun just trying to keep the patterns going and giving you another variety without any words, so we don't have to worry about directions. Another collage background. This was fun. I took some of the actual logos and cleaned them up and then changed their effect, so everything sort of seemed like it was stamped or gold foiled, which it's not though, and just sort of blended into that coffee fabric background. And that was a lot of fun to design up on top of, but it's really pretty by itself also. Did a button bubble paper. Sort of came out a little bubbly. Sort of looks like bubbles almost in the water. But then again, I've been working on a lobster birthday invite, so I have bubbles on my mind. I have bubbles on my mind. But it was pretty buttons that I shifted again, changed directions, and layered on top of the directions for just another really interesting way to get some contrast with the vintage pieces. There's the wired dress dummy mannequins that are definitely open. It's one of my favorites, actually. I just love, I don't know, that's how open it is, I guess, and all the sketchy work, sketchy vintage work for the designs of these dress dummies. And then last but not least, or second to last, I should say, I layered the lace scallops that we used as a addition to a lot of pages and the ephemera, and I just layered them from narrow to wide as another possible background, or you could just cut them up and trim them as an addition, leaving one end, of course, light, so when you trimmed it, it was sort of cream and open. You could cut this up and make your own over the edge page tucks if you just need these pages and not the full journal kit. You still have that access to sort of make your own. But I thought we had to have some lace in there. We had to have some physical materials out of all of this. And then this is the larger version of that cluster page that I, patterned up. So this was all the fun that I had with all the different clusters and the different ways I used it on the pages. I used it as a paper for you guys. So, on its own, it is a decorative journal page in its own right for any sewing journal that you have out there. And I'm hoping these all stand out really well on this mauve-y fabric. I got tired of beige, I got tired of blue and green or whatever I've been using, so I sort of went with this pinky mauve, and it helped really contrast, hopefully, and pull a little pink out of the flowers when we showed those off. So there are 12 papers here for this paper pack. So hopefully it's a nice variety for you to back each other with, to print out, to add to your coffee papers, your tea-dyed papers, any vintage papers you have. I just did it on a 100 bright white, 32 pound, really good paper that I put it on so that I know that they're nice and crisp and in their 100% purity, so on white, so you can see exactly what the color should be before we go put them on parchment and linen and everything else we like to do, and which definitely changes the look of the papers, which is good. I love the fact that with a little change of paper, you get a whole new look on these guys, and that totally makes me happy. So, all right, ladies and gents, that's what we are at. So Tuesday, you got to see the whole Shabby, Sochabe vintage journal kit. Today, you get to see the sampler card set, and you get to see the paper pack. They're all up on Etsy for your enjoyment. I hope you will take a peek at them and see if they fit any of your sewing journal needs. And hopefully you watched yesterday, and that was the flip through of the journal that will go up for sale on Monday, Memorial Day weekend, but at the end of it, I guess, on Memorial Day, I will be putting up this gorgeous botanical journal. If you did not watch the series, I will put that at the end of the video. And if you didn't see the flip through, I'll put that up in the card right now. And that way you can take a peek at that and see if it's something that catches your eye. But sometime Monday, it's going to go up for sale. Probably whenever I get up Monday morning after our fun weekend, I hope. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day, that you've been staying busy and creative as we're coming into June very quickly, as kids are off onto vacation, as people are taking their vacations and getting together with loved ones. I really hope you continue to be creative, you continue to thrive, you continue to be safe, and I appreciate you joining me today and watching. I hope you found me in a happy moment. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. If you have, thank you for watching another video. Really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support and the patronage. Along with that, I changed down below in my link and just my links and my descriptions. You have my Etsy shop, as always. You will always have the links for what I'm talking about. But then I went ahead and just attached my Linktree link so that you guys can see everything I'm attached to in all ways. And you can then navigate to what works best for you, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, the Etsy shop. I've now jumped on the bandwagon and done the Buy Me a Coffee page. One more avenue to get the word out for the love I have for graphics and design and junk journaling and happy planner. And with a little support from with a little bit of the continued support of small businesses, it allows me to try to really make this a full business in a time where I need it more than anything. And I'm doing the best to help provide for our family, and I'm enjoying what I do, but now I really need to make it work for me. So every little bit helps, right? And there's so many changes coming up in June and July. New things added to the shop, new things added to my social media, new pages, things to share and help communicate with you guys more. I really want to see what you guys have out there. And a lot of the social media venues don't allow you guys to add pictures. And I know there's so many of you who've bought my kits, and I want to see what you guys have made with them, gifted, what you've made and sold with my digital kits. And so I hope to start a fan page on Facebook for those of you who have fit pictures of what you've designed with my things. I would love for us to share and communicate and chat and support each other. So look forward to that also. And that's about it, ladies and gents. Hope I didn't talk too fast, but I don't want to keep you too long either. So sampler cards, paper packs, full journal kit, and a journal up for sale any day now, right? Okay, ladies and gents, thank you for joining me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following and continuing to show your love and support and your comments. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all next week. I think it'll be a Thursday. I don't think I have anything else to reveal to you guys by Tuesday. So we'll talk next Thursday for sure with another craft with me, journal with me, happy planner retro moment, because that's what we're coming into. We're coming into retro, and I hope you will continue to follow along. This is Jolene with The Jewel Design, and I will talk to you soon. Hugs!